This is ION Hong Kong with Key.
And this is Harminder, and we'll be discussing the top news for the week involving Hong Kong and China. And welcome back to the second half of this episode. With me is the ATV English News Department's Chief Editor, Yonden Lhatoo. Thank you, Mr. Lhatoo, for coming in. As you can imagine, I'm going to ask you about ATV.
Everyone's asking me about ATV.
I can understand, but it's better to get it from the horse's mouth than rumors and whatever's been reported in the press. So, right off the bat, how is the staff? How is their morale?
Well, morale. Well, what's been happening is pretty reprehensible. I think people not being paid for so long. So
Sure.
yeah, the morale has just hit rock bottom. I have a lot of young people working for me, so it's a really rotten start to their career to see this kind of stuff happen.
And I've noticed, because personally I watch the ATV English news as opposed to the TVB English news. I've said this on the show many times. I'm not just blowing smoke here.
I really get annoyed with people who tell me that they mix up the two newscasts, ATV and TVB.
Really?
Which is which, or they think it's the same thing.
How is that?
Hugely different, as you may have noticed.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Because the TVB news, I find, is not so focused on the local news.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to go through the world news. Well, it's no problem. It's their format. They can do whatever they want.
I think though, the focus is wrong, because you can't compete with the BBC and CNN with the resources we have, little two terrestrial stations here.
Oh,
so the focus should be on local news.
I agree.
Is local news.
I agree. That's why I prefer the ATV news as opposed to TVB Pearl news.
All right.
But the problem is that now it's been reduced to 15 minutes. And I can understand that, because why should you work more than, you're not being paid.
Well, actually, even more than the not being paid,
Yeah.
the reason we cut that thing so short is because we don't have enough people.
Oh.
And don't forget, we have the English news is actually a very small, part of the whole news operation.
Sure.
But we're heavily dependent on, of course, we have video editors, we have cameramen, we have the drivers, everyone, and all those departments have suffered severe staff cuts. So their output has been reduced a lot as well. That's why we're forced to do only 15 minutes, which is the minimum required.
Two 15-minute segments. I now just tend to watch the late news, but I've also noticed anchors have left as well. I don't know if that's because of the pay problem, because I'll name a few: Belinda Lloyd,
Mm-hmm.
Anne-Marie Sim, Hailing Chan. I think Joyce Wu is now not there. I haven't seen her in a while. I mean,
she's there.
She's still there. All right. Is that because of staff, or they just moved on to Britton Clennet? I mean, have they moved on to just bigger and better things, or was this had to do with ATV?
No. All those people left. Very competent people, by the way.
Oh, very, yes.
All of them left for their own personal reasons.
Okay.
Like Belinda, had a couple of kids, moved with her husband. This was before the actual pay problem started.
Okay.
The pay problem started in July.
Right.
And then we were paid very late for September. That's when the whole thing started.
Right.
All of them left before that.
All right.
So the English news, I have to say, is a little unique in ATV, the current crisis right now, because all of them have stayed.
Right.
They've all stayed.
Okay.
They've all roughed it out.
Right.
And not to claim any credit or whatever, but I think they're staying out of loyalty to ourselves as opposed to the company. And if they do leave, I think everybody will just leave en masse.
What do you say to the people that say, well, good, let ATV die? I mean, the programming is atrocious, and other than the news, I have to say the rest of the programming is quite atrocious. The only thing I watch ATV World for now is the news, Inside Story, and one or two of your RTHK programs that you put on. Other than that, there's really nothing of quality anymore to watch on ATV, and that's not on you, I'm saying that's part of the programming, the director, the money, and all that. Isn't ATV, haven't they stepped into it themselves by not having quality programming?
I have to agree with you. I'll be honest with you.
All right.
The programming has hit rock bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because they just don't have any money. So they're running repeats of repeats
Yes.
of crappy programs. Actually, I agree. I mean, I have to admit that it's true. And the thing is, you don't know how frustrating it is for someone like me running the English news to be dependent on programming for our viewers. So people like yourselves, I mean, you're saying you watch our channel just to watch the news, right?
Right.
You know, when we compete with TVB, I mean, look at the advantage there. In the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Right?
Yes.
So basically, I mean, TVB's programming is not exactly anything to write home about.
Well,
but
no.
compared to ours.
Yeah.
Right. So the thing is, on TVB you have, say, a sitcom or some kind of, cartoon stuff, stuff that people watch.
Sure.
Right. After that, you have the news
right.
at 7:30.
Right.
Then you've got a movie or a current, TV show.
Sure.
24 hours or whatever's going on.
Sure.
So you have to understand the viewer psychology here. We don't have fewer viewers because we are rubbish. I mean, our news is rubbish. I'm just talking for our news, okay? Because I'm not in charge of the programming.
Okay.
I do have a problem with the programming, but I guess the hands are tied because of the money. But yeah, so basically we have rubbish, and then we have news, and then we have rubbish after that.
Right.
So it's very difficult to compete and bring viewers to us who are used to watching some kind of entertainment.
Right.
Then they're waiting for the movie.
Sure.
So in between is the news.
Right.
So they say, might as well watch the news.
Because let me take you back to the 90s. ATV was actually watchable, quite watchable.
I know.
They had decent movies, not the best programming in between, but it wasn't what it is today. I mean, I'm switching it on, and I'm hearing Nick Walter's voice from 1996.
Did you still hear his voice?
Yeah. Stories from Afar, that program about overseas Chinese, and I hear his voice. I'm like, wait a minute, I hear Nick hasn't he gone for a long time? Is he making a comeback? And then I find out this program's really old, and they're just rehashing it. Now, you said that they have no money, they can't put in quality programming, but I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of programming nowadays available for free because they just want to get their stuff on. It may be controversial, but at least it'll get viewers in there. You can get documentaries, you can get all sorts of stuff. It's better than what's on now. It's not on you, but you gotta tell that programming director, you gotta look elsewhere than the conventional, American sitcoms, American programming, B movies that I see on there. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. You just have to go find it.
I can't disagree with you.
Okay. So I'm just preaching to the choir. All right. So going forward, have you been paid December?
No, we haven't been paid December salaries. The people who are earning less than 22,000 a month.
Right.
They were paid for December.
And being senior editor, I'm sure don't fall into that.
Unfortunately, people like us were paid more.
Yeah.
We haven't received our salaries yet. So basically, we haven't paid for December.
Yeah.
We haven't been paid for January.
All right.
So February means now we're working for a third month for free.
And how long are you going to continue that, though?
Well, some of us aren't going to. I think people have had enough. I've done as much as I could. I've kept the team going now, just out of sheer loyalty now.
Mm-hmm.
They're just working for loyalty and, just out of a sense of solidarity right now.
Right.
But most of them have had enough, so it's not going to last. They have to be paid.
But
you can't expect people to keep coming to work day after day after day for free. I mean, this is a dream team, right?
Right.
They work for free.
Well, I do that here, but no. This is because I like doing it. It's just once a week. It's not daily. Yeah. It's not my way of life. It's just a hobby. Yeah. But I see you stepping in. I mean, I saw Michael Chigani wasn't there for Newsline. You stepped in, right? Yeah. And I understand why. Right, and to be honest, I think you're doing a better job, but that's a whole different story.
Don't let him hear you say that.
But the thing is that as I know people are like, die ATV, die, but how many people work there? 600-700 people.
700.
So do people really want to see people out on the street for 700 people? An institution that's been part of Hong Kong for decades, Rediffusion to ATV, and people are just like, well, let it die. But then what replaces it? There's nothing going to replace it.
And you'll have TVB as the
monopoly.
only terrestrial broadcaster for a while, at least until the new licensees come up. They'll take time, especially with the English language. They've got a grace period. They're not going to launch the English channels right away. So basically, if ATV shuts down, the only English news you're going to get in Hong Kong, local news, is TVB, pretty much.
And that's not a good thing, I'll tell you.
You're already not watching it. So.
No, I am now, because you've cut back on your 7:30 main news, right? But I prefer not to if it's available. I do commend your team, but ATV needs to understand. Okay, let's move out of that. The shareholders. Are they happy that they're not making money? I mean, what is in their mindset?
Well, it's very, very complicated, and a lot of it doesn't make sense to laymen like us in terms of corporate structure and corporate negotiations. But in a nutshell, what's happening is you have two majority shareholders.
Right.
Okay. The mainland guy, or Wong Bin Kun, and you have the Taiwanese, the snack tycoon.
Right.
He's the second majority shareholder.
Right.
So basically, the Taiwanese shareholder has sued the mainland shareholder, majority shareholder,
right,
and won a court case. And the court has now ordered the majority shareholder to sell about 10% of his stake. So he is no longer the majority shareholder.
Right.
So the court has appointed those accountants from Deloitte, whose job is to find a so-called white knight, somebody who will rescue the company. But on the face of it, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense, because why would somebody who's coming in with 10% suddenly solve all the problems and put in all the money and pay the staff? Right?
They're not going to, because they only have a 10% share.
Yeah, so
they can't do anything.
Right. So unofficially, officially through the court's orders, the accountants will find a third shareholder who the accountants are tasked to sell 10% of the shares, just over 10% of the shares to the new guy. But I think the new shareholder will be negotiating the complete takeover of the majority shares.
Okay.
Not just the 10%, but the remaining, so that they become
the majority shareholder.
So it's a package deal.
I see.
So it's all up to the majority shareholder to agree on a price.
Right.
That's the situation.
And is there right now real talks, or are we just hearing,
Oh, definitely there are real talks.
There are real talks. Okay.
Some of the newspapers today leaked the names of the companies that are interested, mainland companies.
All mainland, yes. Yeah.
Monday, Deloitte is going to make some kind of announcement.
Okay.
So let's see what happens with that.
And personally, I would like to see ATV stay on, but I really hope that as a new a new owner comes in, they will give them the resources and the money to bring in better programming, because it's all about programming, right? If we can see even half an effort to get the programming going, people will come and watch.
That's true,
right?
But whoever comes in now, it's going to have to be. It needs an overhaul. There's no doubt about it, like you talked about. I mean, I think it even needs to be an overhaul of the mindset of the staff. Don't forget, the vast majority of staff are still there.
Right.
The thing is, we have to think about. I've often been asked, "What are you still doing there?"
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't have any options.
Right.
The thing
I'm
is,
sure you do. I mean, you've been there. You've been in the news department for
yeah,
how
that's
long?
right. Actually, most of us do have options.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people in that building. Not in my section, my department, but there are a lot of people who've been there for many years, and I think they don't have much confidence outside. And
where are they going to go? I mean, you got TVB now and cable.
It's a very limited market.
They are pretty much maxed out for now. They're not looking for new staff.
Right. And the fact that they're staying on and working without pay constantly takes the pressure off the guys in charge to get cracking on this whole deal and sort out the payment order. Because they can see the staff are remaining behind and they'll carry on. There's no pressure from the staff.
But people are quitting, like you said.
There are people. I mean, the ones who have had enough are quitting.
Yeah.
And the ones who stayed, who were persuaded to stay, like my staff,
right.
We were going to quit actually on the 1st of January.
Right.
I brought them back for 2 more months.
So at the end of this month, if they're not paid, it's over.
Well, I can only make them stay. I made them stay until basically like the end of this month. Beyond this, I can't guarantee whether they will stay or not. I mean, I'm exhausted with. I've exhausted every, everything I could
favor
do,
and
yes,
everything, and
to make them stay. That's right. Some of them have been offered jobs already,
okay.
and I've asked them to stay on. Just hold on a bit, at least get paid, and then you can
Do
see
what
what
you
your
want.
options are, whatever. But I've actually reached a stage where I'm going to have to say, okay,
It's
guys,
up to them
yes.
what they want to do. But of course, if you don't put on 2 English news programs a day, 15 minutes each, you're in breach of the license.
That's right. And then the license.
And they're not even paid the license fee.
That's right. Okay. So think about it. Think about it. My staff have basically had enough.
Right.
And they would like to do a walkout, but if they do that, then they jeopardize the hundreds more, the careers of the hundreds more who've stayed behind, because they're still waiting. They're waiting for a solution, and something will happen. If my small team of people walk out and we don't have any English news, it's a serious breach of the license.
Yes.
And there's a distinct possibility that they would strip ATV of the license based on that.
Right.
So, does my small team, who are, I have to say, they're very hardworking,
Yeah.
they've got a lot of integrity,
Sure.
they're a bunch of very, very impressive young people.
Sure.
But will they be responsible for the shutdown of the company if they walk out? That's the burden on me right now.
I see. So your team of, let's say 30, 40 people,
No, I've just got 15.
Okay, 15 people can bring down an entire company
It'll be on
of
us.
600-700 people.
Mhm. It'll
I
be on
see.
us. Because the vast majority of those 600, 700 people are still there. They seem to be, I find it quite astonishing, but they seem to be willing to work indefinitely without pay.
Okay, that's a bit
I mean,
loony, don't you?
I
Like
don't
for
know.
me, I could only stay for so long.
Me too.
Until it's like enough is enough. I don't see,
Yeah.
or at least I would wait until an offer came through and then I get out of there.
That's right.
But let's say White Knight comes in, he fixes everything, hypothetical, and then you have November. Then you have November's Executive Council's decision on renewing ATV's license.
Mhm.
What happens if that's not renewed?
Don't forget also we have like 76 summonses against the company and the executive director for late payments in July,
Right.
September,
Right.
and November.
Right.
76. So we haven't done December yet.
Legal fees there.
Yeah, December, and then the pending Labor Department prosecutions for December. That's a whole new thing. Then for January, because they're late in January, it's already been a week.
This is a disaster.
Yeah, so we're talking about like 100 and something summonses against ATV.
Holy cow. And now on the 13th, there's a court hearing.
That's right.
And the judge said on that day they could liquidate the company that day to get their salaries.
Harry, it's such a pity because I've been there for so many years.
Yeah.
We have some good people.
Oh,
you
no
know?
doubt.
We have some good people,
Yeah.
good, dedicated people.
Sure.
And they deserve good jobs.
Sure.
And I hope this town will hire these kids because they're really good. They're really good. They're really
Your
hardworking.
new staff seems all under 30, to be honest.
They are very young.
Yeah.
Very
And they do a great job.
That's right.
I commend. I said it on the show. That it's not just because you're here. I said it on the show. I always prefer this news team of ATV because I found that you're more local centric with your news.
Did you notice our language is different as well?
Very, because what you do is you present the story as you hear it everywhere, and then at the end, I've noticed you put in the but. Da 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 da.
Intelligent viewers.
Exactly.
Also.
Well, I see the other one. They just here's the NBC story. That's what they said. That's the truth. And I'm just like, no, it's not. There is always a second side to the story. You guys might just put it in as the last sentence, but you put in the but. That's why I watch it, and I let people. Have you noticed that? And when they do, they say, this is better.
Okay.
But of course, just the news department can't save a station.
No, we're a major part of the station, but
Yeah.
we're just 200 people.
Right. Hypothetically, again, it's gone. ATV's gone.
Well, what do you mean? Like
Let's say it's closed because they liquidated on the 13th. Okay. They can't find a buyer. That's another scenario. You don't get your license renewal. That's another scenario. There's so many scenarios that could just end or your staff says enough's enough. We walk out. It's over. What happens to yourself?
Okay.
Just talking about you now.
Talking about myself.
Yeah. You've been a mainstay in Hong Kong for a long time.
Yeah.
Would
I think
you stay?
first I need a break.
Yeah, I'm sure this has been
Because
stressful.
I'm just exhausted actually.
Yeah.
But I've been around, like you said, I've been around for a while. So moving on to another job is not a problem. I have a couple of offers that I'm discussing right now.
Stick to news or something different?
News. I'm a newsman. I can't do anything else.
Okay.
I mean, even if I try to do something else, I'd still be checking headlines and news every day.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Moving back a little, at what point did you see things going south for ATV? Not just July that you didn't receive payment, or was it before that, saying, what's up with our programming? What's going on with our advertising's not as good? I mean, were there any inklings back, like this is not looking so good for us? Or was it just, it's just part of the cycle of business, up and down?
ATV's had money problems all these years. Okay, I joined after the handover in '97, a couple of months after the handover.
It's been a while.
And we had a good operation at that time. We had good reporters.
Yes.
We used to do a good show, and then, like you said, the programming was pretty good at that time as well. We used to be sent out to foreign assignments. On ATV's budget, I've been all over. I've been to the US, to all over Asia on assignment. So we were a proper news operation at that time.
Absolutely.
But throughout all those years, I've seen that because for some reason we just cannot make money. We keep losing money. So we've just had one new owner after another, and I think progressively we've been going downhill because the salaries have got the budgets are smaller. Less room to hire very qualified or experienced people, so we're only getting young kids in. I've been lucky so far with getting really good kids. They pick up the business very quickly and they're very good. Within a couple of years they become decent reporters. So, but we've always had these money problems, but never as bad as this. This is the worst I've seen. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, so let's switch to English news in Hong Kong overall. Now, you've been here since the handover at ATV. How has the English news gathering plus reporting, how has it changed from then to now?
Well, it's much, much more difficult, English news gathering now, because nobody speaks English.
I've noticed that, but it hasn't been that great before either. Is my argument.
But especially the government's bilingual policy was very strongly enforced before the handover, obviously because you had a British colonial government. And after the handover, that tradition stayed on. So, you go out for press conferences, there's always a bilingual briefing. Officials are very happy to explain, answer questions in English, that sort of thing. But it's changed a lot. People are more and more reluctant now to talk in English. And we had this big flare-up with the Law Society.
Ambrose Lamb.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a guy on basically saying, go and translate it.
And that was to the TVB reporter.
That's right.
It wasn't even to you, but you reported it.
That's right. Guess who had the guts to actually make a stand about it, right? He wasn't even my reporter. Yeah. But I was outraged when I saw that.
And so were we. We reported it. It was all over the place because we saw that as a slap in the face
of the English media.
And
the English-speaking audience.
Exactly. It may be a minority, and considering it was from the Law Society, I mean, the law here is conducted in English for the most part because it's common law, so you have to understand the language. But when that happened, I'm like, this could set the precedent for everybody else. That's and right. Has it?
It hasn't set a precedent as such, but most people don't speak English. I've done stories on this, and still they don't pay attention to it. I mean, I don't get any feedback from the government on this. We've done stories on this. They don't speak in English. They come out, they make a statement in Chinese, they answer Chinese questions. One reporter, after becoming blue in the face, shouting out English questions, manages to sneak one question in, and they answer that one question and say thank you and push on. This is it. This is the government's attitude.
And that's the soundbite.
Okay, to be fair, there are a couple of officials, like the health minister, for example.
Sure.
He's very accommodating. He speaks in English. He makes it a point to speak in English. But the chief executive.
And his English is fluent.
Yes, that's right.
As much as we have issues with him, I will commend him for his fluency in English. Carrie Lam, same thing.
That's right. When they speak
English.
Right.
But
it's very difficult. So increasingly,
world city, right?
That's right. Asia's world city. Right?
Yeah, but they're not showing it.
No, not at all. It's reached a stage where the people I hire now, there are competent people who don't speak Chinese who could do well in English language media, and I have to choose the ones who are bilingual because there's constant translation going on. They need to translate stuff.
Right. So What about legislators? Same problem?
Legislators, not so much. I have to say, I mean, both sides of the political spectrum. If you talk to them in English, if you ask them questions in English, they're quite accommodating. Even the ones whose English is not very good, I have to, you know.
They try at least.
Yeah, I have to commend them for that. They try.
They try.
You know, Albert Chan.
People power.
People power, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his English is not very good, but he always speaks in English.
Yeah,
and that's why we run a lot of sound bites for him, because he's speaking in English and we are English media, so he gets more exposure because he speaks English a lot.
Well, you know, I'll just say this as a final word, that I really don't want to see ATV go down as much as a lot of people going, oh, that red station go down. But then I'm like, have you seen the English side?
I don't know where the red label is coming from.
I think it's the Chinese programming. They're
not even the Chinese Okay, the Chinese programming has gone through some phases where they have, you know, have been a little red, so to speak. But the English news never. But did you ever do you watch TVB news and see how much goes on there? I mean,
they
need to be fair.
CCTV over there. Yes,
I'm saying fine. You know, fine. Criticize us, but be fair. Extend the criticism to everybody else who's doing it as well.
Right.
And as far as the English news is concerned, all the years that I've been at that station, I haven't censored anything.
Okay, and you've never been told don't say this
never.
Okay,
no.
All right. So, like I said, I don't want ATV to go down. I don't think people should either. It's 600-700 jobs. People need to understand that, and if they're supposedly red, fine. But you know, we got other stations coming in. We will have variety, hopefully, of programming. Then we can say, well, that's better. This is better. Unlike the chief executive, competition is good in television. So let's hope that goes on. Mr. Lhatoo, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And on this final segment of the show, I always give out with my co-host, who's not here today, the Shame on You Award. We give it to the worst or, you know, atrocious person of the week. And actually, it's not a person this week. The Shame on You Award will go to Wenwei Po and Takung Pao for going after the HKU dean or potential vice principal, I think, and saying that, oh, because of being so pro-democracy, you have brought down the rankings of HKU and all that. And I think that's disgusting. I think that's more like Cultural Revolution stuff, and if you know, in the first half, you will see what I was talking about. So, Wenwei Po, Takung Pao, you have just received the
Shame on you
award, and you can enjoy that. And please go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/IONHK pod. You can check this video out at Mimi Hong Kong if you just type that into YouTube. We're also at Twitter at IONHK pod, and of course you can follow ATV on World or Home or all the other channels on the digital spectrum. Thank you so much for joining me today.